Hey gang, Chonky here. Sorry it's been a couple weeks since I uploaded a video. I took a trip out to New Orleans to see the Tekken World Tour World Finals in person because I'm a big Tekken fanatic. I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitch at all, but Tekken is like my main game. I love that game. And then when I got back from my trip, I got sick, and I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. I'm recovering. But I wanted to record this video the moment I got back, and I was bedridden for like 2.5 days. So I actually just woke up from a nap. That's why my mullet is so fluffy and out of control. And I just decided, screw it. We're just going to hit the record button, and I'll give you guys some news. So back on the 11th, there was a huge change to the scaling, and I'll give my opinion on that in a moment. So there was a lot of complaints across the board from players that the game was too hard with the game constantly scaling with you. To give you an example, if you were level 20 and you went into Ragewind Castle, the Lich would be like 4 million HP. If you were level 1020, which is the max level, the Lich would have about 44 million HP. Well, now, when you do the Lich, he has 4 million HP at level 1020. So even though it says that they reduced heroism scaling by approximately 52% less health and 22% less damage, it's almost like they just got rid of all HP scaling altogether. It feels like everything is incredibly easy. You can run through at a high level and just absolutely breeze through the dungeon. I can clear Ragewind without dying in like 30 minutes, no problem now. And I'll save my reservations. So they changed the scaling. Now this is the first scale. So what they're gonna do is they dialed it back super hardcore, and then what they're gonna do is they're gonna rescale it up to make it more appropriate. So it will get harder again. I'm pretty certain we're still getting the insane difficulty. I don't know when, but in the talks that we've had, I'm pretty certain it is still going to happen eventually, but I'm sure they want to hammer in the nightmare difficulty first and make the game more approachable to more casual players, because I mean, normal and hard are not difficult, but then all of a sudden nightmare hits you in the face the moment you get to like level 100, and that's when you start to like really needing gear. So I think this is their approach to try and make nightmare a little bit more approachable. Instead of like, oh, well, if you want to play on Nightmare, you got to do all this hardcore grinding. So I can appreciate that in that sense, but it's a little easy right now. And if you guys know me, I'm a glutton for punishment when it comes to video games. I will bash my head into a wall until I can beat something. So I can't wait to see the rescaling. I know it'll be more difficult again in the future. It just won't be like that for a while. So now is a good time to do some farming. So if you want to get your elite fragments, do it now before the rescaling really comes through. And then when the new stuff comes in later, then you can, address it accordingly. But what's really cool is, so they touch base on some of the healing, or all the healing for all the classes. So Bind Wounds got the cooldown changed to 16 seconds. Skin of Stone had its cooldown changed to 18 seconds, and they reduced Unstoppable's duration to only 6 seconds. Now, this is a bit of a hit, but if you have the Blood Gorger set for Champion, then you know that you can keep Unstoppable refreshed. So there is a way to, keep it active a long time, just like how Berserker will keep Aggression refreshed. The Cleric. So regen was changed so that its duration was changed to 6 seconds. They buffed how much it heals each level as well, and the cooldown was changed as well. Channel heal. So there's an interesting thing with channel heal. Back in the day, it was supposed to be just you healing your buddies. Back in the day, it would be that you would use channel heal and it would only heal your friends, not yourself. That's why you had regen. But then there was a bug that made it that channel heal would heal you. I never really used this because I never used channel heal, so I never really noticed it. but I found out about it through the Discord. So they got rid of it, and then there was backlash from the community. So now they brought it back and made it official. The channel heal will now heal the cleric and the targets. So before, whereas cleric only had a decent heal if they had the holy order set, because then regen would get its buff, or if you had avatar mode active because your healing is buffed through that. Regen was pretty lackluster without those two. So now you have regen, but then if you're in a pinch, you can just use channel heal really quick and heal yourself a pretty decent amount pretty quickly. But the big thing in this patch, in my opinion, aside from the descaling of the difficulty, is that every single class now has a CC break. So it's not mentioned in the champion changes, because the champion has always had unstoppable. But now with the cleric, if you use Heavenly Strike, which is one of the signature abilities where you slam your weapon down and the lightning comes down, that will now break you out of CC, which is pretty awesome. I think it's been a long time coming for classes to have CC break moves, mostly because you can only have one consumable, active at a time, and the cooldown is universal for your consumables. So you'd have to balance, do I want to use Samrock's Wicked Grog, or do I want to use a Rejuve Potion? Now it's pretty easy to be like, well, if I'm using the Samrock's Wicked Grog, it needs to be in a dire situation where I need to be immune to crowd control for, 12 seconds or whatever. But now you can make it so that I can always use a health pot when I need to and break out of CC pretty reliably. So the Ranger, Healing Vapors cooldown was changed to 16 seconds. I think it was a little shorter beforehand. But Ranger's Flask, which is the damage reduction flask, had its duration changed to 4 seconds, which I believe is a nerf. But now that will break you out of CC. So while Ranger's Flask before could give you like 100% damage reduction 100% of the time, I don't think that's possible now, because the duration is only 4 seconds long. But now it breaks you out of CC. So that's pretty sweet, because now you're breaking out of CC and you get damage mitigation on top of it. Heck yeah. So the Rogues had Phantom Strike, which only could be used to break out of CC if you were targeting somebody. But now you don't need a target requirement. So if you're using it in a fight, you'd have to always make sure that you were looking at somebody, and then if you got stunned, you could break out of it. Now you can just kind of poof, and you're free of CC. Shadow Cloak also had its duration changed down to 6 seconds. Phantom Strike's cooldown to reflect this was changed to 12 seconds, so you might still need to use Samrock's Wicked Grog depending on the situation. Shadow Mend had its cooldown changed to 16 seconds, which is the heal for the class. And Shadow Cloak had its duration changed to 6 seconds. I believe this is also to combat the 100% damage mitigation 100% of the time. The devs don't want that to be possible. And then Wizard, which I thought it was really interesting that they made this the CC break move. Fire Armor will now break you out of CC. Now, Wizards probably needed this most of all. They are the squishiest class. So now, because before, you would pop Cauterize, and hopefully you could... Oh, it's raining pretty good. So before, you would pop Cauterize and hope that you could balance the cooldown between Cauterize and your Rejuve Potion. Or you could, if you had, I believe it's... I can't remember which set it was off the top of my head, but one of the sets would make it where if you cast Sleep, it would reduce the cooldown on Cauterize. Maybe it's the Ashen Magi set. So that, that still helps, but the Cauterize cooldown was changed to 16 seconds, so a bit of a nerf there. But now with the Fire Armor being able to break you out of CC, you don't need to rely on Samrock's Wicked Grog all the time, and you can reliably focus on using, the Rejuve Potion when you need to. So they did a couple fixes. They did a couple improvements in the dungeons, I noticed. The Praxidar fight, the AoE damage things on the ground were way more visible. They moved the loot chest and the Tower Guardians in the Dark Hollow because it was so close to the journal that you would always look at the journal unless you were looking at like a single pixel of a spot on the chest, and then you could loot it. But they've done a couple changes, and then they did another update a couple days ago where they let us sorry, my voice. Where they let us know that the holiday event is going until the end of the month. So with us having 11 days left in January, we have just under 2 weeks left to finish farming our candy canes, which means you can farm up enough candy canes to get your elite sets that you don't want to farm specifically. So you can farm the easy dungeons for the candy canes and get the tier 2 fragments, get up a nice tier 2 armor and weapon set, and then go run Ragewind before they rescale it back up to a more difficult setting. They also gave me a shout out on the speedrun page, which is pretty cool. Admittedly, there hasn't been too many submissions for speedrunning. I am going to add a couple more categories. But yeah, there's been a lot of interesting changes while I was gone. And I can't wait to see exactly what comes next. So, yeah. So they did make a couple changes down here. Heavenly Strike isn't as bright, which is actually kind of nice because it would just like flash in your face. Ice Charge from enemies now does 30% less damage. And they changed the Call of Oblivion sets that Assassinate does not trigger a cooldown. Because that was the thing with other sets where if it gave you a free cast of a spell, it would automatically put it on cooldown, so it wasn't really a free cast. But now, they changed it. So now it doesn't trigger a cooldown after using Phase Carnage for 5 seconds. But yeah, guys, I've only been talking for like 12 minutes and I'm already losing my voice. So I'm going to start editing this and hopefully have it posted tomorrow, which would be Sunday the 21st. Once I'm feeling better, I want to release more content for you guys. Since I've pretty much wrapped up stuff for Ragewind, I was thinking of doing some DPS check videos. I have tier 1, 2, and 3 armor sets for like the Wizard and the Cleric, and I wanted to get some armor sets for the other classes as well. And then just sort of like compare the damages, let you guys know exactly what you can expect. Because some tier 1 armor sets are actually really good. Like for the Ranger, the Crypt Stalker set is really nice. And if you're focusing backstab on the Rogue, the tier 1 set is really nice too. So, just because it's tier 1 doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad set. So I did want to do some DPS checks, but I'm already hurting my throat talking to you guys. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Just know you're worth it and you value. Just know that you matter and people care about you. And I'll see you next time. See ya.